Hello there, and welcome back to War Thunder and to Duck Talks number 79, Social Experiment Edition. And I have two social experiments for you. First, the one from Gaijin that we mostly all participated at one point or another in recent days, which is the first April Fool's event patch with, the Tailspin event, the 2077 Warfare Cyberpunk mock-off, and then obviously the crafting event. And why this is, from my perspective, also kind of a social experiment. What's good about it, what's not so good about it, what in general my thoughts are. And then obviously my social experiment. First of all, yes, that's finally the end. I'm done with it, the results are in, and I want to share them with you. Also talk a bit about the consequences, and well, then also say that this is indeed the last video where not just I talk about it, but also you, because a lot of people have made clear that, unsurprisingly, they are not really keen on participating in such an experiment, and so the follow-up videos I will then, not allow any such comments regarding the social experiment. And that has its reasons that I want to share later on with you. So, and, two more things before we start with Gaijin's social experiment. One of you can earn himself or herself a pinned comment if you share with us the various different timestamps of this video. And also at the end of the episode, despite being 3 months ago, I wanna answer the questions from Duck Talks 78, the 2020 review. Yes, I actually want to do them on a weekly basis, duh. So there is that, and here we go. Throughout the entirety of War Thunder's yearly cycle, there is one date that personally for me stands out, and this is always the 1st of April. Because when I created my account in 2013, well, there was then the first April Fools that I ever got aware of in a video game. Yes, I'm that old. And it was the Pony Nation, and it was awesome. Basically, ponies, with all the glitter and all the bombs, rockets and cannons, with the flight model of the arcade ME163. That thing hauled ass. It was hilarious. It was golden. It was awesome, and I loved it. And what have we been served this year? Well, to be honest, the April Fool's events throughout the last few years have gone a bit down, but this year we got a triple server. And that means we have 3 different events, so to speak, that are more or less parallel or simultaneously going on. First of all, the Warfare 2077 Cyberpunk mock-off, where we saw again a lot of new technology being tested, and that remembers me of the 2017 April Fool's event where we had, the Middle East map, and also with a lot of the very modern main battle tanks and helicopters for the first time, and the response for the community was, wow, that's awesome. So I think that with this 2077, a lot of people that had fun will not have fun when this stuff comes out, because then you have to at least grind the stuff, you have to buy the stuff, you have to deal with the repair costs, you have to deal with the stock grind, and you get meanwhile raffle stunned by all the sweaty tryhards, for instance like me. And so top tier is not really that fun, even though the technology is amazing. I didn't play a single round of it, but I saw a friend that is more interested in the modern stuff stream it on Discord, and I was that bored, or bored to death after like 10 seconds, not gonna lie. I saw that and no, just no. So that was a big no-no for me. We're coming back to something similar in just a moment. Then the second event was the Tailspin. And in German, that is based on the cartoon of Captain Baloo and seine tollkühne Crew. Yeah, that's the German title. Just German things. And I absolutely loved the visuals. When I got into this match for the first few rounds, I was just blown away by the cartoony graphics, which Gaijin nailed so goddamn good. I think the clouds are still the same, but the 3D models, the visuals, they are obviously unique designs, although I think I saw some references to, for instance, the I-16 with the third plane that you could unlock. And this is then where my childhood memory couldn't really be fulfilled, because this was way too arcadey. Either I'm getting really old, or it was outright really difficult to get a shot in dedicated. If I got a 1 second burst off, then the enemy died, regardless of what plane I used. And that was cool. But it was literally tailspin. Planes were just pulling like 30 G turns. Gladly that nobody was blacking out, because that mechanic was disabled. And that's why the fun actually was, well, when it came to the turning itself, was still right there. Although when one bullet hit me, I exploded all the time in a spectacular fashion. So I was a bit burned out after 5 or 6 matches, and I couldn't really unlock all the planes. Which I think, I love the idea that you have to get kills to get further up the ladder, but again, there is so much effort put into this floating islands, and you know, this remembers me a little bit of Pacific Hidden Base when it first came out in arcade, and I don't know, was it 2014? I don't quite remember when this map got introduced, but it was fantastic to fly. And this floating islands, man, they fit arcade so well. And again, the graphics, everything, it was so goddamn good. The floating airfields, the carriers, it's so good. It's so good. Those airships, so well done. Sadly, I couldn't explore it all the time because I was busy with the crafting event. So I just simply had a lot of problems getting the kills, but maybe I'm getting old, or maybe it's really too tailspinny. But yeah, that was something that I want to see more of. This is April Fool's events like I like it. I'd wish there would have been a realistic game mode so that it's less arcadey, although arcades fits more the cartoony approach. That's what I wanted to say. Okay, so tailspin, fantastic idea and visually very pleasing, and there has been a lot of effort put into. Cyberpunk Warfare 2077, not so my thing. Again, didn't really play it. That brings us to the crafting event and why I really didn't play 2077 and the tailspin too much to begin with. Because I wanted to, well, get first place very often, and I wanted to get a lot of playtime in to get the crafting event done. Now, in the crafting event, there are 4 different rewards. 2 low effort ones, I would say, where you can get the Su-76D and the JDS Yugure, and you can get them by assembling 1 tank. Then we obviously have the XM8 and the F4F early. Both are relatively high tier. XM8 has a battle rating of 9.3, which, to be honest, it's really tempting to get, but it's okay. However, the battle rating of the F4F early is debatable because it's 10.7. It's complete top tier. So, first of all, this is way too grindy and artificially limited, where you can only get 13 shells per day and 104 overall. So 104 is you can get at maximum 4 tanks assembled by grinding as much as possible. It's literally forcing you to use the marketplace, and the marketplace has demonstrated that the prices are insane. While Gaijin is already greedy, holy hell, the prices on the marketplace by the community were just outrageous. One such ammo rack, which consists of 26 shells, so more or less 2 days of grinding, was available, I think, after a few hours by somebody. I have no idea how he did it, but yeah, it was sold for, I think, when I noticed it, it was a roughly 200 to 300 Gaijin coins for 1 tank. And then a day later or so, the first F4Fs were sold again for 300, 400, ridiculous prices, right? And such events, they are nice, but Gaijin really forces you to grind an absurd amount of time. No reasonable, normal player is spending that much time. Yes, I know it's the long Easter weekend, and now we have overall more time than usual sitting in front of the PC, but that's really hard. However, What about the prices? Well, the low tier ones, the SU-76D and the JDS Yugure, are premium vehicles. However, the XM8 and the F4F Early, the Phantom, are not. So when you get them, they are stock and they have no premium bonus. So you have to pump extra gold into them to buy yourself the modules, and then to also put a talisman on them if you want to grind with them. However, then you have no lineup, and especially with the F4F, this is ridiculous, because together with the squadron activity reward tank, the Leopard 2 PL, which is essentially a Leopard 2A4, I think, with a few modifications and probably a better shell, you have now a plane and a tank, and everybody can get this with money. So you can completely bypass the grind and just play with the big boys, and especially new players that just look through the tech tree and see this really long line of unforgiving grindingness. They are really tempted to open their wallet, and we will see this, that unexperienced players that have no experience, have no idea what the technology behind it is, they have no idea how to play those tanks, also have no backup, they have no low tier tanks that are somewhat capable of performing. For example, if you have the KPZ 70, then at least you have some backup that is capable, right? Just to mention here one specific tank. And so the top tier region is where a lot of sweaty tryhards, again, just like me, are hovering around and ruin the rest of the day. So truly, because of this overfeeding of special vehicles for Germany, Germany will suffer. And I know this is a meme, but observe the win rates in the upcoming few weeks. They go down in Tank RB big time. So I'm not really happy how this is done. It's too grindy, it's too expensive, it's definitely not fun, it's definitely not fair, the artificial restriction is stupid, and the rewards are ruining top tier gameplay. That's my final verdict. The idea is nice, and one final thing from my perspective as a content creator is that, well, sadly, this is something that I couldn't playtest it. I got no test drives for that. So I cannot tell you if those tanks, planes, ships are worth it to begin with. I tried to do it as fast as possible, but that's probably only doable after the event. So again, this is how Gaijin is restricting this. And no, I'm not willing to throw hundreds upon hundreds of Gaijin coins on the marketplace just to have them, to make a video about them, to then say, oh, it's not worth it. Sorry, but that's just not what I do. And that's the Gaijin social experiment. Why do I call it a social experiment? Because again, Gaijin is testing how much people are willing to spend, how big the whale community has become. And to be honest, what I saw on the marketplace, despite all their screw-ups in the past, all their unforgivable mistakes and scams, etc., Gaijin is still making a huge profit. Think about it. Every single transaction benefits you. Benefits Gaijin, what was it, 15% of a tax? So if a 300% Gaijin coin tank gets sold, that's quite a bit, right? So that is what, 45 Gaijin coins for Gaijin only alone from this one transaction. That's a lot. Anyway, let's move on to my social experiment. Now finally, let's talk about the social experiment that I conducted, and first of all, why I did this, how it took off, my point of view, then the results and the consequences and the price that I had to pay, because the consequences, well, they were, to be honest, not to be shoveled under the carpet. It was some serious, feedback that I got, to be here very polite. So first, a few things have to be clarified, because there were so many misinformations and blatant lies and just wrong statements floating around on the internet. What a surprise. But some of them I have to clarify. First of all, Gaijin has nothing to do with it, and also I don't get paid by Gaijin. I have never received a single cent or dollar or euro from them, whatever. Yes, I receive as a content creator in-game items such as golden eagles and test drives and premium vehicles if I request them, but only to a certain limit, which also depends on the success of my YouTube channel. If I get the odd average number, etc. So that is very important to see. Second of all, no, I didn't do the team kill because of a social experiment. That came afterwards. And also I think that just because I am a content creator doesn't mean that I have a higher moral standard. Because I'm a YouTuber, I should eat all the shit and never complain about anything. That was also something that was floating around, which makes me really wondering, because at the end of the day, I'm just a dude sitting in a chair pressing a button while playing a video game and then going through the effort of making some post commentary, posting this on YouTube, and all of a sudden that should make me a higher human being? What the hell? Just, no? That is weird? Again, I'm just somebody playing a video game and pressing a recording button. That's literally all. So how did this all take off? What was really going on? Well, from my perspective, it was the day before the new patch dropped, and I was playing my stock P47 and I wanted to spade it. I was going into head-on with a BF-109, dodged it, and well, didn't shoot him. However, there was a teammate with me that forced the BF-109 to do some evasive actions, and as a result of which the BF-109 ended in front of my guns. I pulled the trigger, shredded the plane to bits. Quite literally, with my 850 cals. He had his control surfaces shot. He was burning from multiple places. He couldn't maneuver anymore, and he was about to die. I got all the critical hits, and then the teammate, well, which hadn't hit that BF-109 from my perspective, because before I pulled the trigger, the BF-109 was not trailing any smoke, was still completely able to maneuver, and I also couldn't see some impact damage on the wings or the fuselage. So from my perspective, he didn't hit him, and if he hit him, I couldn't see it, and it had no consequences on the flight performance of the BF-109. After he got the good old P47 850 cal treatment from my side, he was done. And he was just seconds away from dying. I just had to correct my turn again to finish him off, which would have been a waste of ammo at this point. And then that team member swooped in with his F-82 and just claimed the kill in such a stupid, blatant way, like 3 or 4 seconds after, that it was just, kind of offending. I not gonna lie, at this moment that triggered me. I was completely relaxed, but then he also danced in front of my guns. A little bit of a correction, pulled the trigger, and team killed it. It was a spontaneous overreaction and not my brightest moment, and not my nicest moment, to be honest. And that could have been the end of it. Let's be honest. Team killing happens all the time, either by accident. Think about the amount of rocket or missile team kills in the previous patches. Think about accidental team bombing in Tank RB, P8 and Ju-288, etc. You know it's true. But there are also always people that deliberately do it. When they hover, when the Harrier came out and the Yak-38s, where they were deliberately bombing their entire team by immediately taking off and just dropping that bomb. So I got myself team killed hundreds of times because I'm a YouTuber, because I say things that other people don't agree with, or because other people think that I've stolen their kills. You know, it happens all the time. But what then happened was different, because that person that I team killed went onto Reddit and made a lengthy post with, showing his perspective. And when then the patch dropped, I made a video about the SMS Kaiser, and there were some odd comments floating around about a team kill, and I was apparently involved in it, and I forgot actually what happened the night before, or the play night before, and I couldn't go back and watch the replay because it was from the previous patch. So that was that. Now, let's have a look at what actually happened. This is a screenshot from my Google Analytics, and there are some various interesting numbers. Sorry, this is all in German, but where it kicked off what was with the video in the middle, the hood simulator, aka the SMS Kaiser, and well, it has almost 6,000 views at this point in time, which is more than twice or even triple what the usual Neighbor Forces video would get. And you can see that there are 237 comments, which is a very high ratio for the amount of views. And you can see that there are 48% likes and therefore 52% dislikes, with also around 320 likes. So it must be 350-ish dislikes. That had nothing to do with the video, and it was this video where I actually got aware that something was going on Reddit. But more on this in just a moment. 2 days later, after the Cuirassier video and also the Freedom Fighter video that also got a bit more traction because, you know, new content, they also have a very high dislike ratio. And then I responded and I, well, asked for this a little bit because I wanted to trigger the Reddit ragers, and this is why I made here this very provocating video about the team killing in War Thunder. And again, the same amount of dislikes, with roughly 48%. But here you can see it's almost 1,000 likes, so it must be over 1,000 dislikes for 14,500 views. So first of all, when there is drama, people instantly watch it. People instantly, go for it. And despite me saying that that my community should not defend me and that they should let it happen, because at this point I actually wanted to conduct this social experiment, which I openly said in that video. So everybody was informed that I'm now doing a social experiment. Now, how does this social experiment look like? Well, simply I wanted to see what's gonna happen after this, minor team killing happened. Again, not very nice, but it happens all the time. And I now get focused because I'm a content creator. I thought to myself, how bad can it get? What can the consequences be? Because there were so many comments that were so vile and disgusting and full of toxic racial slurs. You can't make the shit up that was thrown at me here in the various different videos, that I was just cut off. I couldn't take this serious anymore. I was there and staring with disbelief at the, and I'm sorry that I have to say this, but subhuman behavior. That was absolutely disgusting what I read, and I was busy for multiple hours to delete the worst of the comments, right? And if you look at for a last interpretation of this screenshot here, if you look at the two peaks that are about the team killing and the SMS Kaiser video, you see around it also kind of a Gaussian distribution. So in the days after this, the outrage, fell off. But a lot of people also went, so to speak, back in time and went on to the server hamster dislikes my cat video, the 2.4 dev server video where they couldn't really have such an impact because there were overall more views. So they went back to the old videos and actually removed their likes and added a dislike. And since I know that the average video on my channel has around 96 to 99% like ratio, it was outstanding. So this was perfect to monitor it. But then there was also that people went through the effort of unsubscribing. And this is where it gets really interesting, because with the sheer amount of, hateful comments and comments that are disliking what I did there, which I can understand that people are disappointed and don't like what I did, but, to go through the effort and doing this as a consequence, that is actually quite a bit of a move, I'd say. And let's say that since then I gained again some subscribers, or people have resubscribed, whatever. Let's say 1,000 people have unsubscribed as a consequence. So I was over 32,000 subscribers, nearly 32,500, and then I dropped back to 31.5. So let's say that cost me 1,000 subscribers. That is in the region of roughly 3%. So the entire big drama that I actually fueled by, throwing some cherry cans filled with the finest of hateful gasoline into the Reddit fire cost me 3% of my entire subscriber base, which 1,000 people, that's not nothing, but the majority stayed with me. The majority didn't really care about this. And also, if you then go back to the likes to dislikes, if all the people that really were going through the effort of disliking, that were 1,000 people on the dedicated video on this topic, an equal amount liked me, maybe as a support, maybe they just found it funny, and I saw a huge variety of spectrum regarding this topic. I also lost a couple of dozens people on my Discord. They silently left the channel, and I have the analytics available to prove this. It was a few dozen more than the usual fluctuation, but therefore also a few people more than usual joined, either in support or coming from Reddit to monitor it. And I got aware of this and I found it hilarious. So this was then also part of the social experiment. Since nobody really did anything suspicious on my Discord, they sadly then buggered off again after a while, with apparently sadly no results to then fuel the drama on Reddit. So let's come to the results, let's come to the consequences and the price that I had to pay. Because there is one thing that I have not mentioned yet. First of all, I'm almost disappointed that I only lost a roughly 3% of my YouTube subscriber base, while I also lost the respect to some people due to this one action is also very interesting, but again, not a real consequence. The other thing is, again, that I mentioned with Discord, well, that was also not too much drama. And all the other content creators that I talked to also said that I shouldn't give a damn about Reddit because Reddit is unimportant. If this, let's say, 1,000 people that really were going after me with the dislikes and the unsubscribing part, and this is the worst that can happen, then it proves only one thing. Reddit is unimportant. Reddit has really no power, and those people that are gone now, I can live without them, to be honest. But there is one thing that really still stings deeply in my side, and that is that I was about to get my own affiliate link in War Thunder. Yes, that was about to happen, and well, my timing couldn't have been worse. And I was on the list together with a lot of other content creators, Twitch streamers, YouTubers. Now what this means is that you would have been able to click on this link and purchase anything from War Thunder with a few % off, I think bundles in particular, like 3% discount, and I also would have gotten a few % of that purchase price as real money. This would have been the first money that I've ever received from Gaijin, and I was then silently cancelled off that list. So for all of you that on Twitter cried for me being cancelled, I hope you're happy now. That was the last big goal that I had regarding War Thunder. Because again, this whole YouTube channel is not my day job. It's a hobby of mine, where I put a lot of time and dedication and heart blood into this, but I don't rely on it. If this goes down burning, I have no real consequences. The only money that I receive is from the YouTube ads. That's less than $300 per month, because I don't get that many views, because I don't get out that many videos like some other content creators these days. And to be honest, as the final consequence, it just showed me that this whole Gaijin thing, this whole YouTube thing, this whole War Thunder thing and whole community thing isn't that important anymore as it was, like, I don't know, half a year ago. So that was already something that I kind of felt before all this drama, but this drama really showed that you can't please everybody. You can't rescue everybody. Somebody have to be left behind. And if those 3% are it, so be it. And I think now I'm happier with it, and I can concentrate in a different way with War Thunder, that I focus a bit more on my fun rather than serving a rather ungrateful community. Again, not all the community, but a certain part of it. at the end, I have to thank here a few people. First of all, that one guy that I team killed, thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to make this social experiment. You have served me well. And still, no sorry to you. I could have apologized later, but what you did there with you know, quote unquote, exposing me on Reddit with this drama, you didn't behave better either. So much for that. And yeah, I think one more thing about this whole social experiment. Coming back to all the negative parts, you know, not the business aspect, not the money aspect, just the amount of hatred in the comments. Just a few examples, and I have deleted the worst of the worst already, as I said, but apparently I'm a racist, but then the next said that I am also just a money-hungry Jew, and then I'm the worst of the Nazis at the same time, which is weird. Then even some sexist stuff, and really people want to burn me at stake. It was delicious to read. I didn't take this serious because I know that this was just the scum of the earth. I already had heard that Reddit is really a bad place to be, especially if the cancel culture comes after you, which I experienced for the first time. And again, I can walk away from this dumpster fire with no consequences. I can just, you know, end this today and just move on with the rest of my life. But I can also understand what an immense pressure certain people, you know, with their moral outcry and wanna be justice, can force and bring upon a person that, you know, isn't my age, that doesn't really laugh about this and takes this serious and depends with their livelihood on this, you know, social status and them being really depending on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, whatever. Then this can really give them instant problems that are completely unjustified and completely off scale of any sort of justice. So it just shows what a shithole Reddit and overall the community can be. Over the years, I, you know, sorted out the worst of them already. I already got in the past here a really, really evil, stupid comment, you know, that wished me nothing but the worst. But those were single comments, and I sorted them out. And to see them coming back all together at once was just a very interesting experience and a refreshing one, because it just, again, set me a bit free. And with having said this is the last time that I'll talk about this. There could be so many more little details be talked about, so many more numbers I could have just shown, but to be honest, it's not worth the effort. To deal with such people is absolutely not worth. So if you have to leave because of this one team kill, really, because I just got singled out because of this one team kill, because I'm a YouTuber, because my name was not some random name, because my name meant something, it stood for something, and immediately people come after this because people love to destroy and have no idea how much it costs to build up. And yeah, this is now the end. So now let's talk about some questions from the last Duck Talks number 78, the 2020 review, which is already roughly 3 months ago. First question comes from Pavle H. Hashtag question: what is your opinion on more modern ships like missile frigates, PDS on larger ships, missile cruisers? But of course at top battle rating, like the range from 7.7 to the highest battle rating, for example, the end of the line ships for the Soviets would be the Kirov battle cruiser. Well, to be honest, modern ships will come. We already have relatively modern ships in the game. And to be honest, if you think about some nuclear powered missile cruisers from the Soviets, then yeah, I can't wait to blab them from spawning less than 10 kilometers away from them before they can launch their missiles and do damage with my World War I super dreadnought. Or later that game, when that guy sits giggling behind a cliff I can't shoot him with my ship, and he just launches all the ballistic missiles into my ship, and I can't do anything about it. With my Iowa, King George V, Bismarck, Yamato, that will be fun. Fun, fun, fun. The community cries for it. People want this. But again, think about the stock grind, think about the repair costs, think about the repetitive, stupid, boring gameplay, the game modes, the rewards, all of this. Would you play it just because it's modern stuff? Modern stuff is cool and exciting, and if one thing that Gaijin has proven over and over again will be to be counted on, it is that they will screw it up. That they will implement it in a really bad way. So, what do I think about this? I have no hopes for this being absolutely fun or something like that. Abercrombie Bluffs asks, are these things called Duck Talks named after the Henschel 129B3 or something else? Well, if you go back to the very first of the Duck Talks, you can say that I indeed played the Duck, the Henschel 129, and it's a mix between the Duck and also Duck Tales, which is also a, youth experience, just like Tailspin. I just love those comics, so it's a reference to both, and yeah, the Duck is awesome. Not specifically the B3, but also the B2 included. Mihail Lazarev asks, hi, how can I find your team in War Thunder? I play only random battles, never play in the team before. I'm not quite sure what exactly that question means, because if you wanna squad up with me, then your best chance is to join my Discord, which you can find in the video description down below, and then, well, there is a chance that we can play together sometime. If you want to join my clan, then, there is a way to apply to the clan if you just look for it. And how to find me in a random battle? Well, that's a lottery. And, well, that's it. Jay Wilt actually asks two very interesting questions. Question number one, do you think giving premium accounts the perk of unlimited map bans is a good idea, including in assault game modes, even at the cost of longer queue times for yourself when banning many maps? First of all, I would love to ban more than only one map, and you have to distinguish here between the map ban for Tank RB, because you then can ban an entire map, including all the game modes that are available on this map. In Naval Forces, you only can ban one map with one dedicated game mode. So, for example, there are 4 different map versions of South Quaven. I hate them all, and I only can ban one of them. So you kind of see the problem. I also think that it not just should be exclusively to premium accounts. I would love to see up to 3 map bans for free-to-play players, and then let's say 6, 7, or up to 10 for premium players. And to be honest, I would gladly sacrifice so many maps, and gladly would wait a minute in the tank queue time, rather than getting a map that I just then leave instantly because it's so disadvantageous for my side. And if you think about all the problems that you can have in realistic battles in the first place, especially tank battles, think about getting the same map multiple times in a row. That is bad, even without all the bans, right? I gladly would have this if the map is good, or I personally like it. The second of all is that, well, what about night battles and full up tiers, and then combine this with a bad map? Very often I just simply exited out and accepted the crew log, because just no. Or sometimes I go through the effort and just waiting till you see the map preview, then tap out and execute War Thunder before the map loads, and then I can load War Thunder again with having no crew log. Yes, that's an awful exploit, but this is what War Thunder's map rotation has driven me to. War Thunder has a severe gameplay problem. The gameplay experience is awful, and at least the map rotation could save some of them. So yeah, it's a good idea, but I don't think that Gaijin would make this, because then they admit that they would really have a problem with their map rotation, and they will never admit to have any sort of problem, except for a massive shitstorm. Then we have the second question: do you think giving premium accounts the perk of being able to reduce your own battle rating spread at the cost of longer average queue times for yourself? So currently we have plus minus 1.0 battle rating difference from the maximum battle rating that you have with your lineup. So for instance, 6.7 tanks can meet 7.7s and 5.7s. And that means that what you are asking for is a battle rating spread maximum of 0.7. So that 6.7 tanks can only meet 7.3 tanks and 6.0 tanks. And to be honest, that would be much more balanced. With the immense power creep and feature creep and more compression that we saw throughout the years, this is more than mandatory. And I would gladly say yes, again, I would accept a minute longer queue time. I mean, so far it's seconds, there are enough players, and I think that all those above mentioned changes would bring more money to Gaijin, they would make a better gameplay experience, and together I think that this would be a good thing to happen. But again, I don't think that Gaijin will ever go through the effort of making this a thing. Darth Vader has actually 3 separate questions. Question number 1: do you think all helicopters are equally annoying for you, or are there certain ones which you can accept? Well, obviously not all helicopters are the same level of retardation, and to be honest, the worst times are over now, because what really burned me was the KA-50 at the start, where it could delete half your team within the first 2 minutes, right at the start of the match, from a range of up to 10 kilometers, and there was nothing that you could do against. There was no cover you could behind it. There was no SPA that you can use to fight it. And you know, the adults was very often then playing with the Soviet sides, which just maximized the fun for the other team. Also, the KA-50 is still very much dominating in the arcade mode in the event, the dedicated helicopter mode, and so it forces other helicopters that have absolutely no chance against this bad boy, that they try to seek refuge in Tank RB, where they're also not really welcome. Now it has literally died down. Helicopters are a bit like naval forces in that aspect. And again, it was really badly implemented by Gaijin. I'm more annoyed at the actions of Gaijin rather than the helicopter players, because Gaijin killed my interest in helicopters, the way that they implemented them. I would have loved to get into helicopters, but it's just absolutely no fun whatsoever, even worse than ships for me. Second question: what do you think about the Assault PvE mode? Have you tried the helis in this game mode? To be honest, again, I actually have the plan to learn helicopters in this game mode, since they can be highly effective. I have a lot of helicopters, but really never played them. And the Assault PvE mode, I actually played in order to get the big boosters, the 300% Civil Line and the 300% RP boosters, for stock grinding in general, and also making nice videos about it. And I should make a few more videos about the PvE mode, since it can be hilariously fun if you're playing it with your friends. And so you can earn 2 big boosters per day, and that really feels like good progress then. Third question: what do you think about the map missions, domination, battle mode, conquest, and so on? It depends on what you play them with and on which map. Sometimes conquest and battle can be fun for tanks. Domination is the most common game mode, but for ships, conquest is absolutely awful. And actually, there is a fourth question: how do you like the crew grinding? Do you invest some GEs in the crews, especially the ground crews, or do you grind them all normally? Well, funnily enough, it's my German and my American crews that I played so many planes before tanks were even a thing, that acquired so many crew points that I didn't have to spend golden eagles on them. But to be honest, if you wanna spend, like, let's say 1,000 golden eagles either in a premium vehicle or a crew, and you play a crew a lot to really kickstart it, it's probably some of the best investments, since you never lose it, and it gives you, if you distribute it correctly, a dedicated advantage, and allows you then to also buy the expert qualification, which gives you +3 on every single crew point whatsoever. So that gives you then, in terms of tank handling, some of the most outstanding advantages. So yeah, crew grinding, I do this by myself. I do not golden eagle out the crews completely, and I did this even before I was a content creator, since the advantage is just so immense. Shadow21 asks, is German in the email for the replay submission fine? Yes, it is. If you think it's easier for you to express what's going on, then you can write it in German. Since I am from Germany, that makes sense. It's my job, quite literally, to translate this all to English, and also my client is set up in English, so all the information I can read directly in English, whereas you have probably the German client. So if you find it easier to express yourself in German, then do so. That is not a problem. And finally, we come to the end of Duck Talks episode 79, Social Experiment episode. And if you're still here, then first of all, wow. Second of all, if you have a question, then please begin your question with #question, so I can find those questions for answering significantly more easily, and then I'll answer them within the next Duck Talks, which I hopefully will not take some further 3 months. That's it for me today, so thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Please give this video a like with it, subscribe if you want to see more, and we'll see each other on the waves, in the skies, and on the battlefields of War Thunder.